Oh, all right. Well, welcome back to my study. Just settling down here. I have a lot of stuff out. Some stuff I want to show you regarding a single topic that I've been meaning to, to cover and talk about on this channel for quite some time, a couple of years, in fact. I had this on my mind and thought it was a good topic to kind of cover, just as an informational kind of video. I think hopefully it'll be helpful. I'm not sure about that. I'll try my best to make it something that's that can be helpful and help us understand something about the world of tobacco. And well, you'll see as we get going, perhaps. I hope. So first let me let me show you this, because I know I'm gonna get questions. Yeah. All right, there we go. Yeah, just getting ready. It's a Saturday morning, getting ready for just doing some things around the house and getting prepared for the match this afternoon. Not going to the match, but just watch it, of course. Well, perhaps not, of course, but. And I'm a fan, I guess. Not not crazy or anything. Fan. And I don't really go to the games. I've been to a few games, but I don't. I don't go every game. I don't have season tickets, that kind of thing. But I like to watch. I played football, soccer, for those in the U.S. I think about 13 seasons when I was younger, and then I also coached a few years after that when I got older. So it was it was my sport. I think it was my main sport. And then as I got older, I got into more individual type sports. But overall, not really, a great athlete or anything like that. I enjoyed it for what it was, and for the time that I was in it. Anyways, that's aside now. So today I wanted to talk about, and I didn't want to take too long on this. I wanted to talk about Sutliff Tobacco Company. Sutliff Tobaccos, a little bit of the history, and kind of an idea of what this company is and its importance, and where it is in the tobacco world, specifically for pipes and cigars and those kind of things. Not just in general, I suppose, but more for us as interested pipe smokers and cigar smokers. So, I'm smoking. Fairly new meerschaum that I picked up. A few months ago, and I've just been so busy in lots of ways. I haven't been able to really sit down and enjoy and smoke this pipe so much. I've had other pipes with me when I'm in the car heading to work or around doing other things, but I didn't get this pipe out yet. And perhaps I should show you. Uh, yeah, it came in this little thing, and it came with a really nice tamper, a little scoop, and yeah, a cleaner, and then tamp on this side, and this is meerschaum here. So you can find these sets, yeah, all over the place with a pipe and a tamper or something like that. A lot of the carvers will make them, or if you can't find one, I'm sure they'll do it for you, some kind of custom. So just in case anyone was interested in that, I wanted to show that real quick too. Yeah, enjoying some Irish whiskey, as I often do uh, with the games. So, so let's get started. I have a little bit of a sheet here, just to try to keep me on course and to help me kind of remember some of the things I wanted to make sure that I mentioned, and then I want to show some yeah, show some tobaccos and things, so you kind of have a good idea visually too, what this is all about. So yeah, let me light again here. Okay. All right. So let me just kind of briefly just kind of break down the history, just so you have an idea of Sutliff Tobacco, the company. So it's an old company, and that's part of its importance in the world of tobacco, and especially in the American market of tobaccos. Um, it's really the backbone, I guess you could say, of the American pipe and cigar tobacco market, or whatever word you want to use to describe what that is. So it began in the mid 1900s. So in 1849 in San Francisco, um, which coincidentally, or incidentally, or interestingly, it was 1 year after Fauen was founded in Germany, which is another old European tobacco group. So 1 year later, Sutliff was founded in San Francisco by H.W. Sutliff. So he set up a tobacco company there. It was a gold rush town, a port town. Many people were coming and going out of the Bay Area at that time, either into the continental U.S. or up to where there was also gold found up in Alaska. So it was kind of a hub and a busy place for lots of guys doing stuff. Yeah, gold miners and diggers and people like that. So it was a good place to set up a tobacco company and start a retail business as well. So he started selling pipe tobacco and cigars, and it was just like that for almost 100 years in San Francisco. Mm. And then it had some important, I guess you could call them breakthroughs, just important moments in the history of Sutliff. So in about 1933, it began to manufacture its main and most popular tobacco, which I have here. It's Mixture 79. So this is an old Sutliff tobacco, and I have it in a pouch. You can get it in different ways. Um, yeah, this became their what they would call their flagship, their the backbone tobacco that they sold, manufactured, and it was very popular and still is for many people, a popular tobacco. Um, to this day. Uh, so that's mixture number 79. Yeah, so after the 1930s, it really blossomed, and they were selling a lot of that tobacco. And so, because of that great expansion, they needed to move, and there were other good reasons for them to move at that time. So in 1953, so about 20 years later, um, they moved to Richmond, Virginia, where they are today still. Uh, and Richmond, Virginia is really the hub of, um, or at least it was, and in some ways it still is, kind of the hub of the tobacco industry in the U.S. There's a lot of manufacturing and wholesaling of tobacco out of Richmond, through Richmond. So it's there's big warehouses and distribute facilities to distribute tobacco in and around Richmond, Virginia. So that's where they are today. In 10 years later, in 1963, Sutliff Tobacco purchased a Heinz Blend brand, and that was meant to go along with Mixture 79. So that was another step in movement for Sutliff Tobacco, another conglomeration, a building of their business larger. And then in '69, not too long after that, they merged with Consolidated Cigar Corporation, CCC. So so then they were really starting to be the major and main producer of tobacco products for pipe and cigars at that time. So early on, from its inception, from 18 from the 1850s, all the way really through the 1940s and 50s, tobacco was pretty and I should say maybe not as varied. Uh, they used Burleys, they used Virginias, and they had other leaves too, but it was pretty straightforward in their mixtures. They there wasn't a lot of trying of this and trying of that. It was um, keep the old good and keep it coming, kind of a technique. But then they started using around the 40s, 50s mostly, and then going up into the 70s, a Cavendish uh, technique, and that really started to take off, especially towards the 70s. Uh, a flavored aromatic type tobacco became more popular than the more traditional natural tobaccos that they had been producing, and other companies had been producing at that time. People were used to just a burley plug. They'd take a big chunk of burley cake or some kind of plug and stick it in their pocket and bite off of it and chew it, or they'd stuff it in their pipe and smoke it, or they'd have cigar leaf. Those were the main tobaccos for a long time. And then Cavendish came along, and then they started flavoring tobaccos, and that became really popular, especially in the U.S. This is what we think of when we think of heavy American aromatic tobaccos, with Cavendish and sticky and goopy cherry blends and those kind of things. That was the birth of Cavendish flavored aromatic American tobaccos at that time. So around the 1970s, and this was something demanded by the customers. The customers were showing great enthusiasm for that kind of a tobacco now, rather than more of the natural tobaccos. And I'm not going to say the natural tobaccos were taken over and disappeared or anything like that, but the taste shifted, and as it often does with any type of novelty or anything that's different, that begins to be kind of the focus. So a good example of that, I think, is what I'm smoking actually, and it's almost gone. I'll show you. It's Blend 7. So yeah, this is mostly a. It says stove black, sweet Cavendish, and bright yellow Virginias, topped with a citrus flavor. So that's pretty typical of the mixtures that were coming out. And yeah, when you open it, and you even feel just this wrapper, and still this tin has been open for a few months. This wrapper still feels like it's wet. I mean, there's parts of it that feel dry, but it feels like it could be pretty damp. And getting inside, see, this is the tobacco cover. If you guys could feel this just feels damp, maybe a little bit oily still to the touch. And the tobacco is very dark tobacco. And this tobacco was aged a little bit. It has some age, so it's been sitting in here a while. But I've had it open for a few months, as I was smoking it just over a few months, and it's I don't know, probably has 2 or 3 more pipe loads in there. But see how dark it is. It's just pitch black, with a few bright Virginias in there. But it just, it just feels damp still. And so you would think, especially when you first open it, you think, how am I ever going to smoke this? It's I need to wring it out or something. It's so wet, especially when you compare it to other blends that you're really used to smoking, and then you open a blend like this from Sutliff, which is not unusual. Maybe that's the point I'm trying to make here. But this tobacco just seems so damp and wet. You could sit it out for weeks or something. I don't know. But the interesting thing is when I opened this and smoked it, I did this on purpose just to get an idea. I didn't dry it out. I just smoked it pretty much right out of the tin, and it smoked all right. It does need a few relights, but it didn't build up a lot of moisture in the pipe. It didn't gurgle. It didn't really get goopy. It even smoked to an ash. It even turned into kind of a fine ash. So it's it's a really odd thing, and I haven't smoked every Sutliff tobacco, so I'm not trying to say that, and I'm not trying to say every Sutliff tobacco will be like that. But my experience with this blend, and it could be taken as how many of these blends would act, but you have to take each blend carefully and by itself, I think. So, but Sutliff tends to be more on the moist side. But what I'm saying is, I was able to smoke this surprisingly pretty well out of the tin, even though it felt like I needed to wring it out, which was a very strange thing. I do smoke, quite a bit of aromatics, but the aromatics that I'm used to are not quite like that. I don't go for Sutliff tobaccos all that often, although I do have a lot in my cellar, and I'll show you some of these tobaccos. But these are not the tobaccos that are my main tobaccos that I'm used to smoking every day. Although some of these are good tobaccos that could be smoked every day. And that brings me to another point too, about Sutliff tobaccos, is that they're all over the board. There are all kinds of Sutliff tobaccos. There are really good Sutliff tobaccos, and there are really bad Sutliff tobaccos, in my opinion. And there are tobaccos that behave this way and behave that way. There are naturals. There are really goopy aromatics. They have just about any kind of tobacco you can imagine, and they have their hand in a lot of different places, and a lot of places that some people may not be aware of. That's sort of my point, is the importance of this company in the tobacco world, because there are so many tobaccos out there, American tobaccos, that have Sutliff influence, or just Sutliff tobaccos at all. So they're a very important company when it comes to American tobaccos, both historically and just in general, with the production that they have, and the amount of production. So let's kind of get back to the history a little bit. There's a few more things in history that are important for us. So, in '69, the CCC purchased or took over, merged with Sutliff, and then in '87, the next step, that corporation, which merged with Sutliff and is still, it's no longer called Sutliff at that time, but it's still the Sutliff Company, merged with Milt Sherman Pipe Tobacco. They purchased it, and they specialized in bulk tobaccos, and so they expanded once again to incorporate more blends and more technique, and have their hand further and further into the American tobacco, pipe and tobacco market. So, and still today, Sutliff is known for bulk tobaccos. They have, I don't have an exact number, but I believe they have around 100 in that range of 80 to 100 bulk tobaccos that are available one place or another. Let's see, and then in 1993, they purchased A.C. Peterson, which was another small tobacco group that did some fine tobaccos, and they still have a line of tobaccos today under Sutliff. A.C. Peterson. And then in a little bit more modern times, in 2008, Altadis introduced, which was now a part of Sutliff as well, introduced the private stock line of Sutliff, and I have a few here. There's quite a few of these, but I only have a few in my cellar. Bosphorus Cruz, you know, I don't have written down what all these tobaccos are, and I don't remember, and it doesn't say. You can look them up. And Alexander Bridge. This one says it's an aromatic blend of red and gold Virginias with rich burleys. And that's what that looks like. Really beautiful tin art. I don't know if you can see that on the camera very well, but although it's half covered up by a sticker here, the warning label. And then East Farthing. Yeah, so those are some of the tobaccos from Sutliff. And then a lot of people remember in 2013, Sutliff was bought by McBaron, and so McBaron is the producer of Sutliff tobaccos now, and also which makes Sutliff the distributor of McBaron tobaccos into the U.S. From Denmark. So, and they merged in May 2013. Many people perhaps remember that moment. So that's just kind of a brief overview uh, Sutliff Tobacco and when it started, how early it started in the U.S., which pretty early. It was the first tobacco company in the U.S. So they have a long history, and as I said earlier, they have their hands in so many different places in the market, and they have so many tobaccos, and many people under different labels, and many people perhaps aren't even aware that they're smoking a Sutliff tobacco. An example would be, the Seattle Pipe Club blends are under the Sutliff. Looking forward to trying this one. And then they have their other blends. Seattle Pipe Club. This is Hood Canal. I'm not going to do a review on every single tobacco here. Perhaps I will do some reviews on these later as they come up. Interesting thing about this for me, and a lot of the blends from the Seattle Pipe Club, because they're fairly local here, but I lived on the Hood Canal for quite a few years growing up. Even a couple of my early high school years were there, but then we moved back to where I really grew up. But a lot of these places I've been to, really familiar with, Hood Canal. Lived right on the water there when I was younger. And this is a Mississippi River rum barrel aged. Looking forward to trying these too. These are just sitting in my cellar. I want to get a little bit of age on them before I dig into them, so I've just had them. And then the plum pudding one. Have quite a few of the Seattle Pipe Club blends in the cellar, waiting for their moment to come out. So I'll enjoy them. I don't know, at some point. I don't know if it needs a special occasion or not, but some of those are pretty good tobaccos from Sutliff. Sutliff makes them for the Seattle Pipe Club, and they have their own blenders there for the Seattle Pipe Club. And then another fairly new tobaccos that came out, I think a couple of years ago, were the crumble cakes. This is the Red Virginia one, and I think I have a few more around here of the crumble cakes. There was a various different tobacco blends that went into these crumble cakes, which are really good, and I'm also aging these. And then one tobacco that's another one of their popular blends, not as much as Mixture 79, and it doesn't have quite the history of that, but it's another kind of Sutliff staple that you'll hear about, and it's Sutliff 1849. And this just, this is a commemoration of when Sutliff was founded, this tobacco. See, if I can read this on the back. It says, in 1849, Henry Sutliff opened his first shop in San Francisco on Kearny Street. This fine mixture of sweet Virginia and spicy Perique is commemorating the founding of America's oldest pipe tobacco company. This unique blend is a mixture of bright Virginia, sweet red Virginia, and 2 cuts of Perique. It says aesthetically, this is a perfect vapor blend. So, if you're into vapors and you really like the Sutliffs, or you want to try the Sutliffs tobaccos and you haven't really dug into them yet, yeah, this is kind of a staple or popular Sutliff tobacco as well. And then they have some newer lines that they've been getting into. And I'm not going to show you everything. I'll show you quite a bit, but I'm not showing you everything that Sutliff has done. But just to give you an idea of the variety and where they're at in the tobacco world, they have this pretty new, fairly new line called Cobblestone, and they have all kinds of different flavors. This is Walnut Maple Pie. So, I mean, I assume this is an aromatic too. It says rich walnut and sweet maple syrup combined with a burley Virginia and black Cavendish base for an extraordinary mixture. So, an aromatic. And in the Cobblestone line, they have all kinds. They have Kentucky Plug. It's a brick. Burley Plug, and then they have these lines of alcohol, sangria, spiced rum, Kahlua, and whiskey, amaretto. These are all the Cobblestone line. Yeah, and then back to the other one, Cafe Mocha. Yeah, so they have quite a few of these tobaccos to try that are aromatics. Some are natural, some are plugs, some are not. Some have these kind of alcohol flavors. Whiskey, amaretto. They're called the high spirits. Yeah, so they have all kinds of different tobaccos in all different lines, and then of course they have lots of bulk tobacco. And if I run down to my to a brick and mortar near here, I can get a lot of just this. It looks, like a generic tobacco, but this is Balkan too, and you can just pick up. They're all numbered, all kinds of and you can get these online, of course, too. All kinds of flavored and natural tobaccos, bulk. So it's a good way. Bulk tobacco is a good way to pick out specific types of tobacco and try them. I've never tried a Balkan before, and I want to know what it really is. Instead of trying to figure out what is a good Balkan tobacco to get, you can get a blend like this that's labeled a Balkan, and it will give you an idea of the category of what a Balkan tobacco is and what it tastes like. So when you get other tobaccos and it describes itself as a Balkan, you'll know what it is when you're smoking it. And you can do the same thing with aromatics. You can get a raspberry aromatic, or whatever aromatic, and kind of try it. And then they have bulk blends that are Kentucky based, or Burley based, or Virginia based, and you can really pick out the types of tobaccos that you like that way with a bulk blend. And it's especially for beginners, it can be very a lot more simple and less complex about you know, trying to figure out, you know, Mississippi River, what's that? You know, what am I smoking? Really, you know, it's can be more confusing. So if you, especially as a beginner, want to try out specific types of leaves, tobacco leaves, and really get a good base flavor for yourself, that's a good way to go. And Sutliff offers that. A wide variety of bulk and simple leaf tobaccos, along with bulk complex mixtures and aromatics as well. But it has a wide range, even just in the bulk tobaccos. And then they have, like I showed you, they have all kinds of other lines of tobacco that they have their hands involved with, including the Seattle Pipe Club mixture. So, and they have many more tobaccos. I could be here all night showing you tobaccos, but I don't want to do that. I just wanted to give you a good idea of the importance of Sutliff tobacco and where they are in the market and how much effect they have on the American tobacco market, and how many of the tobaccos that we smoke every day, and we may not even be aware that it is a Sutliff tobacco, and the history behind it is very interesting. America's first tobacco company, so it's an important tobacco company when it comes to American tobaccos. So, yeah, I think that's it. I don't want to drag it out too long. I just wanted this to be a quick informational video on Sutliff tobaccos that I don't think we talk about so often in the YTPC, and it's an important company when it comes to pipe and cigar tobaccos, and especially when it comes to the American market and American tobaccos. They had a great influence on the types of tobaccos that we smoke today and that we're used to today, and the American tobaccos, the way burleys are done, and the way tobaccos are blended, and the way aromatics came to be. They have a strong hand in all of that. So yeah, that's it, guys. Yeah, I hope you're well. I hope you have some good tobacco that you're enjoying, and yeah, I hope the weather where you are is not so bad yet. We're getting into these wintry days, but they can also be a good time to sit back with a pipe, enjoy a good drink and some good tobacco. And so, yeah, I hope you guys are well. I hope you're enjoying your pipe and getting some time to relax. And I've been so busy that it's been difficult to to get a video put together. But anyways, this is a video that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and hopefully it's been interesting enough to get you perhaps to this point. Perhaps I've lost all of you by now. Anyways, yeah, so you guys take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.